Welcome to War Bios, the podcast where we delve into the lives of history's greatest military minds. I'm your host, General Biography, and today we're going to explore the fascinating life of Gaius Marius, a Roman general who would change the face of warfare forever. Born around 57 BC in the town of Arpinum, situated in the rolling hills of southern Latium, Italy, Marius's early life was marked by modest beginnings that belied his future greatness. As we step into the world of ancient Rome, we find ourselves in a society where family and social standing played a significant role in shaping one's destiny. Marius's family, though not patrician, was respectable and had a long history of producing notable figures. His father, also named Gaius Marius, was a local farmer of some means, owning a modest estate that provided for the family's needs. His mother, Fulcinia, came from a good family, and her relatives were likely influential in the region. This relatively stable and comfortable upbringing would provide Marius with the foundation he needed to pursue his ambitions. Marius's childhood was likely spent learning the basics of reading, writing, and arithmetic, as well as receiving instruction in the traditional Roman values of virtus, disciplina, and pietas. The young Marius would have been exposed to the stories of Rome's great heroes such as Fabius Maximus and Scipio Africanus, which would have instilled in him a deep sense of patriotism and a desire to serve his country. He would have also learned about the importance of family, loyalty, and duty, values that would shape his future actions. Growing up in Arpinum, Marius would have been surrounded by the rolling hills, fertile plains, and rugged mountains of southern Latium. The town was an important center for trade and commerce, with merchants and travelers passing through regularly. This exposure to the outside world would have broadened Marius's horizons and sparked his curiosity about the wider Roman world. As a young man, Marius received a traditional Roman education, which emphasized the study of Greek and Latin literature, rhetoric, and philosophy. He would have been taught by a grammaticus, a teacher who specialized in the study of language and literature. This education would have provided Marius with a solid foundation in the arts and humanities, as well as the skills necessary to communicate effectively and think critically. The historical context of Marius's early years was marked by significant events that would shape his future. The Roman Republic was expanding its territories, and the threat of external enemies, such as the Numidian king Jugurtha, loomed large. In 54 BC, when Marius was just a few years old, Rome was engaged in a series of wars with the Celtiberians in Spain. These conflicts would have been widely discussed in Arpinum, and Marius would have been aware of the importance of military service and the role that Rome played in the wider Mediterranean world. As we explore Marius's early life, we see a young man who is driven by ambition, fueled by his desire to serve Rome and make a name for himself. The experiences he gained during his formative years would lay the foundation for his future successes and failures, shaping him into one of the most remarkable military minds in Roman history. As we step into the world of ancient Rome during the late 2nd century BC, we find ourselves in a society where military prowess and strategic brilliance were highly valued. Marius's rise to prominence began during the Numidian War, where he served under the command of Quintus Caecilius Metellus, a seasoned Roman general. It was here that Marius honed his skills as a soldier and developed a keen understanding of tactics and strategy. One of the pivotal moments in Marius's early career came when he played a crucial role in the capture of the city of Capsa, a key stronghold in Numidia. This victory not only showcased Marius's bravery, but also demonstrated his ability to think on his feet and adapt to changing circumstances on the battlefield. The success at Capsa earned Marius recognition from Metellus, who began to see him as a rising star within the Roman army. As Marius continued to serve in Numidia, he became increasingly frustrated with the slow pace of the war and the cautious approach adopted by Metellus. This frustration ultimately led to a rift between the two men, with Marius advocating for a more aggressive strategy that would bring a swift end to the conflict. Despite this disagreement, Marius's reputation as a skilled and daring soldier continued to grow, earning him the respect of his peers and the admiration of the Roman people. The Numidian War also provided Marius with an opportunity to develop his skills as a leader, as he began to take on more responsibility within the Roman army. He demonstrated a unique ability to connect with his soldiers, understanding their needs and motivations, and inspiring them to fight with courage and determination. This talent for leadership would become one of Marius's defining characteristics, setting him apart from other Roman generals of his time. In 17 BC, Marius was elected consul, a position that gave him the authority to pursue his own strategy in Numidia. He set out to capture the Numidian king, Jugurtha, who had been a thorn in Rome's side for years. Marius's campaign was marked by a series of bold maneuvers and clever tactics as he outmaneuvered Jugurtha's forces at every turn. The eventual capture of Jugurtha in 10-5 BC was a major triumph for Marius, cementing his reputation as one of Rome's most brilliant generals. Marius's successes in Numidia were not limited to the battlefield. He also implemented a number of reforms within the Roman army aimed at improving its efficiency and effectiveness. One of the most significant of these reforms was the introduction of the Marian reforms, which allowed soldiers to serve for longer periods and created a more professionalized army. These reforms would have far-reaching consequences, shaping the course of Roman military history for centuries to come. His experiences in Numidia, both on and off the battlefield, played a crucial role in shaping him into the leader he would become. As we now turn our attention to the later life of Marius, we find him navigating the complex web of Roman politics, where alliances were forged and broken with ease, and the stakes were always high. Following his triumph in Numidia, Marius returned to Rome as a hero, hailed by the people for his military prowess and strategic brilliance. However, Marius's success also bred resentment among his peers, who viewed him as a threat to their own power and status. One of his most notable adversaries was Lucius Cornelius Sulla, a skilled politician and military commander who would eventually become one of the most powerful men in Rome. The rivalry between Marius and Sulla would have far-reaching consequences, shaping the course of Roman history for decades to come. In 88 BC, Marius found himself at the center of a constitutional crisis, as he clashed with Sulla over the issue of command in the war against Mithridates VI of Pontus. The Roman Senate, eager to limit Marius's power, awarded the command to Sulla, who had been elected consul for that year. However, Marius, determined to secure the command for himself, rallied his supporters and marched on Rome, occupying the city and forcing the Senate to reinstate him as commander. This bold move marked a turning point in Marius's career, as he began to rely increasingly on his military power to achieve his goals, rather than relying on the traditional institutions of the Roman Republic. His actions set a dangerous precedent, as other Roman generals would eventually follow in his footsteps, using their armies to further their own ambitions and undermine the authority of the Senate. As Marius's power grew, so did the opposition against him. In 87 BC, Sulla returned to Italy with his army, determined to overthrow Marius and restore order to Rome. The two men clashed in a series of brutal battles, with Marius ultimately being forced to flee for his life. He escaped to Africa, where he would remain in exile until his eventual return to Rome in 86 BC. Marius's final years were marked by a desperate struggle for survival, as he attempted to regain his former glory and influence within the Roman Republic. However, his efforts were ultimately doomed to fail, as he faced opposition not only from Sulla but also from other powerful factions within Rome. On January 13, 86 BC, Marius died, reportedly due to pneumonia, although some accounts suggest that he may have been poisoned. Despite his tumultuous later years, Marius's legacy endured, shaping the course of Roman history for centuries to come. His military reforms, which had created a more professionalized and efficient army, would remain in place long after his death, providing the foundation for Rome's future conquests. Additionally, his example as a skilled and daring general who was willing to challenge the traditional institutions of the Roman Republic would inspire future generations of Roman leaders, including Julius Caesar. He was a true giant of ancient Rome, whose military prowess, strategic brilliance, and unyielding ambition left an indelible mark on the annals of history. That's all for today's War Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I'm General Biography reminding you to keep marching toward victory.